Welcome to the Delvers of Eldrisar How to Play video. We're going to quickly go over how to set up and play this game today. In Delvers of Eldrisar, you take on the role of a powerful and incredibly old warlock, kept alive by the power of your essence relics. The first thing to do when setting the game up is sort the cards into 5 groups: minions, incantations, treasures, essence relics, and starter cards. The minions have a grey border, the treasures have a gold border, the incantations have a blue border, and the essence relics don't have a border at all. Finally, as you're sorting your cards, keep an eye out for any that have a cost of 0 overlaying a green icon. These are the starter cards. Hopefully, your cards are reasonably well sorted from your last game like mine are, so this should just take a few seconds. The next step in setting the game up is to deal out the 3 main supply areas. Keeping the card types separate, shuffle the 3 decks made up of minions, incantations, and treasures. From the minion deck, deal out 6 minion cards face up and place the remaining minion deck adjacent. This forms the tavern. Then deal out 6 incantations from the incantation deck to form the archives and place the remaining incantation deck next to them. Finally, deal out 6 treasures from the treasure deck to form the dungeon and place the treasure deck next to them. Next, we deal out the player's reliquaries. In the standard game, each player gets these 5 essence relics, the 3 types of figurines, the obsidian amulet, and the emerald scarab. These are stacked in order with the card of the lowest depth on top, i.e. ivory figurine as the top card. These are what are keeping you alive, so you'll want to protect them, or at least take your opponent's relics faster than they take yours. Players also have the option for each player to start the game with 7 essence relics, adding in the sapphire palantir and the elder stone. This change just makes for a bit of a longer game, with some more focus on deck building. Now players build their starting decks. You can actually go about this in any way you feel like, but the official rules are that we draft the decks. Each player gets a pile of 10 cards to start. We simultaneously choose cards from our piles, then pass the pile onto the next player. For the purpose of the video, imagine I have an opponent who is also selecting their cards. Then we repeat that 9 more times until each player has selected 10 cards. Shuffle these 10 cards and you have your deck to start the game with. Now, players draw their hands and the game can begin. In a 2-player game, the first player draws 3 cards to begin and the second player draws 5, just to help balance out first player advantage. The game is now ready to begin. Before we look at some example turns, let us briefly go over the different card types. Minions are the backbone of your deck and are used to delve in either the dungeon or an opponent's reliquary, attack an opponent's minions, or defend your own reliquary. Minions are acquired from the tavern by paying their cost, the number found in the upper left corner over the blue gem symbol. In addition to cost, each minion has 3 numerical stats. Delve score determines how effective the minion is at plundering the dungeon or your opponent's reliquary and is represented by the crossed torch and shovel icon. Attack power determines how powerful of an attacker the minion is and is represented by the crossed swords icon. And lastly, defense rating is how resilient to attack the minion is and is represented by the shield icon. You can play any number of minions from your hand during your main phase. Most minions have a primary ability, which is located in the main text box, either in the top section or as the only text in the box. This ability can be activated any time during the main phase of the same turn the minion enters play. Several minions also have a defense bonus ability, which is located in the lower main text box and is always preceded by the shield icon. The defense bonus ability is activated only by declaring that minion as a defender during the main phase. The next card type is incantation. Incantations are found in the archives and, similar to minions, are added to your deck by paying their cost. Incantations provide powerful once-off effects when played, but as a rule, you may only play 1 incantation per turn unless a special effect specifies otherwise. To play an incantation, simply declare you are playing it, place it in play in front of you, and follow the instructions in the text box. Treasures are used to generate wealth, represented by the blue gem in their text box. This wealth can be used during the recruit and learn phase to purchase new minion and incantation cards from the tavern and archives. Some treasures have additional or alternative effects. These effects can be activated any time during your main phase. Treasures all have a depth score in the upper left corner of the card, which represents how difficult they are to be acquired from the dungeon. You may play any number of treasures from your hand during your main phase. The last card type is Essence Relic. Essence relics are very similar to treasures, but are special in that they are the life force of the players and are located in each player's reliquary. When a player captures an opponent's essence relic, it is gained to the capturer's discard pile, and then the essence relic is treated the same as a treasure card for the remainder of the game. Note that while any of the 6 treasures in the dungeon are available to be plundered via delving, only the top essence relic in a reliquary is available to be captured at any specific time. When all of a player's essence relics are captured, that player immediately loses the game. Now that you're familiar with the card types, we will look at the phases of a turn, then play a couple of example turns from one player's perspective. A player's turn is broken into 4 phases: the main phase, the recruit and learn phase, the attack and delve phase, and the discard and draw phase. Each turn starts with the main phase. The main phase is when cards are played, abilities of cards in play may be activated, and minions can be declared as defenders. Any number of cards can be played during the main phase, except for incantations, which are limited to 1 per turn as a rule. Any number of in-play card abilities may be activated during the main phase. After the main phase comes the recruit and learn phase, during which the active player may purchase any number of minions or incantations that they can afford. Cards gained are added to the discard pile. Next is the attack and delve phase, when the active player may assign any minions that were not declared as defenders to either delve or attack. Delving minions may acquire treasure from the dungeon or capture essence relics from an opponent's reliquary. Note that delving in an opponent's reliquary is only possible if they do not have any defenders in play. The last phase of the turn is the discard and draw phase. All cards in play are moved to the discard pile, except for defenders and incantations that have an effect beyond the end of turn. The active player may discard any number of unplayed cards from their hand and then draws cards until they have 5 cards in hand. We will now play out a couple of example turns to see the phases in action. Starting as the first player on the first turn, let's play out the cards we have in hand. We have an expert gardener and 2 silver coins, which we put into play. The expert gardener does not have a primary ability. The text you see in the upper text box is just flavor text, which can be identified by the italicized font. The gardener does have a defense bonus ability though, so we declare him as a defender and activate this ability, which lets us garden our deck a little bit. The main phase is now complete, so we move on to the recruit and learn phase. We can use the 2 wealth from our silver coins to purchase minions or incantations if we can afford any. It looks like we can buy a cleansing ritual from the archives, which is added to our discard pile when we purchase it. Whenever a card is taken from a main supply area, replenish the open spot with a new card from the top of the corresponding deck. Now it is the attack and delve phase. Our only minion in play was declared as a defender, which means he can neither attack nor delve this turn. We'll cover this phase more thoroughly in other examples. Turn ends with the discard and draw phase. First, we move from play to our discard pile all treasures, all incantations, and all minions that were not declared as defenders. This means we move our silver coins to our discard pile and our expert gardener stays in play. He is defending our reliquary now. If we still had any cards in hand, we could choose to discard any number of them. Then we draw up to 5 cards in hand, and it is our opponent's turn. If at any point our deck runs out of cards, we simply turn our discard pile face down, shuffle it, and it becomes our new deck. This next example turn takes place a bit later in the same game. You can see on the board that my opponent has left some defenders in play, an alert lookout, and a rugged farmer. We begin our main phase by playing cards from our hand. Let's start with our cleansing ritual. It states that we can draw an additional card from our deck, then purge a card from our hand or discard pile. The term purge means to remove a card from our deck permanently and set it aside from the game. Let's purge the cautious scouting card out of our discard pile. Purging is a powerful mechanic that allows you to draw your better cards more often. Next, let's play our minions and treasures. We play our Canopy Scout and choose to activate her primary ability immediately, allowing us to draw yet another card. Then we play out the remaining cards in our hand: a silver coin, expert gardener, luminescent companion, and a tavern chef. You can see we also have a Empower in hand, but because we already played one incantation this turn, we cannot play Empower this turn. Luminescent Companion's primary ability lets us reveal up to 2 new treasures in the dungeon. Let's choose to reveal 2 new treasures. First, we choose 2 old treasures to move to the bottom of the treasure deck. Then we reveal 2 new treasures to fill in the open spots. This revealing mechanic is present on several cards and allows the active player to search for better cards. The Tavern Chef has a similar mechanic for minions, but we choose not to activate that ability this turn. During the Recruit and Learn phase, there is nothing available for purchase for 1 wealth from the tavern or archives, so we skip this phase this turn. Now, during the Attack and Delve phase, we have some interesting decisions to make. We did not declare any minions as defenders, so all of our minions are available to attack or delve. For this turn, we want to add some treasure to our deck, so let's go delving in the dungeon. If we send all of our in-play minions, they can form a party with a total delve score of 7, 3 from the Canopy Scout, 2 from the Luminescent Companion, 1 from the Expert Gardener, and 1 from the Tavern Chef. This means we can acquire a treasure from the dungeon with a depth of 7 or less, so we could grab either the silver ingot or the Ring of the Sky from the dungeon and add the chosen card to my discard pile. Let's take the silver ingot and then reveal a new card from the treasure deck. During the discard and draw phase, all in-play cards are moved to our discard pile. We did not declare any defenders this turn, so nothing stays in play for us. Our 1 wealth from our silver coin goes to waste this turn. We get to choose whether we would like to keep Empower in our hand or discard it. We discard it and draw up to 5. As our deck does not have enough cards to draw up to 5, once it runs out, we shuffle our discard pile and it becomes our new deck. It would now be our opponent's turn, but let's rewind and explore what our other options would have been during the Attack and Delve phase. Instead of delving in the dungeon, we decide that we would really like to delve in our opponent's reliquary to capture an essence relic. Unfortunately, we are not able to delve in their reliquary as long as they have at least 1 defender in play, so let's attack their minions. Their alert lookout has a defense rating of 1, which means we can destroy her by attacking with a minion with an attack power of 1 or greater. So we attack the alert lookout with our Tavern Chef. The alert lookout is destroyed and moved to our opponent's discard pile. Their rugged farmer has a defense rating of 3, so we need to attack her with a total attack power of at least 3. By attacking the rugged farmer with both our Canopy Scout and the Expert Gardener, we destroy it. Now that our opponent has no more defenders, we can use our remaining minion to delve in their reliquary to capture an essence relic. Our Luminescent Companion has a delve score of 2, so it can capture the ivory figurine, which has a depth of 2. Note that essence relics must be captured in the order that they are piled in the reliquary. You may only ever capture the topmost relic. When we capture our opponent's ivory figurine, it is added to our deck and functions like a treasure card for the remainder of the game. We conclude our turn in the same way as before, discarding all of our cards in play and drawing up to 5. That covers the basics of the game. Continue to build your deck by delving for treasures, recruiting minions, and learning incantations. But most importantly, attack your opponent's minions and capture their essence relics. The first player to capture all of their opponent's essence relics is the winner. If you have any questions at all, please leave them as a comment below, and I'll make sure to clarify. I've also linked the rulebook PDF download in the description of this video. You of course also get a physical copy of the rulebook when you purchase a copy of Delvers of Eldrisar.